Happy Friday to you. So here I am, hopefully still looking fresh as a daisy after going to see the fabulous David Gray. Oh, he was amazing. Last night, oh my God, all I can think of is White Ladder. It's just going around and around and around and around in my mind and in my head. And what a voice. Honestly, I'm just going to do a little bit of a gush about David Gray for a moment. Such talent, such a voice. And the last time I saw David Gray was a long time ago, probably around the time that he was celebrating last night, which was, it was supposed to be the 20th anniversary celebration of White Ladder. And obviously, it was supposed to go ahead in April, I think 2020, but for obvious reasons, it did not. And in a way, that's what he has in common with Dua Lipa, because again, we have booked Dua Lipa also in 2020, and we went to see her last month in the Three Arena, and she was freaking amazing, amazing, amazing. And being the marketing geek that I am, as many of you will know, um, I, I was really enjoying last night's concert. I was in the moment, and actually, just an aside, it was actually quite funny because right beside my husband, there was a woman who was like live streaming herself. Oh, at the gig, and I was like, God, we're going to be probably, or we are currently on a live stream, probably on TikTok. Um, so random, so random. Um, but you know, that aside, there was a moment, apart from all the emotion and the awe and amazement at David Gray's songwriting, his voice, how he presented the stage, where I just thought, hmm, isn't that interesting from a marketing perspective? I know, I can't help myself, right? And I just thought, I saw this stage a month ago with Dua Lipa on it, like chalk and cheese, right? Just day and night, the sun and the moon, like couldn't be more different. Completely different staging, completely different use of the space, um, completely different audience, and yet I was there. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you. I was like, oh, this is fascinating because the Three Arena is a container. And God, I hate that word sometimes when it's used in marketing BS speak. But at the same time, I think that it's a really great way to think about um, what you provide as a business sometimes, okay? Because um how are you preparing your container, okay? Dua Lipa's container at the Three Arena was so completely different. She presented herself as a um like oh my God, perimenopause, my brain is just gone. Like not a superstar, but like a hero, like a nostalgia hero coming out and saving the universe. And it was fabulous. Like it was so rich. She was telling stories. Like her dancing entourage all had a part in the story. They all had marvelous costumes. There was glitter, there was glitz, there was like highly produced video, like there was choreography. I mean, it was just, the outfits were like wow, wow, wowza. The music, the tunes are banging, like it was just amazing. Okay, it was such a performance. It was the same space, same walls, less seats, you know, again, I was there, right? Now, fast forward to last night. David Gray, holy cannoli, more seats, different audience. Again, I was there. Okay, I'm 47. I now wear glasses. I wore jeans. You know what I mean? But I was there. How did he like change the space? Well, he had his band. It was very pared back. Um, there was still a great light show. There was still like a more traditional presentation of showing him to the audience that wasn't close up. So you know, it was still a performance. It was really like the priority was his voice, his pared down style, the acoustics, the banter with the crowd. He knows so well because we say in Ireland that we discovered David Gray, you know, and he tipped his hat to that and was like, oh, you know, if it weren't for you, Dublin, I would not have had this success, right? um he kind of he says that like the Irish really built the experience of White Ladder and brought him to an international stage. And apparently it all started in Whelan's, and a lot of the photography for the album was in Dublin. And that might just all be in my head. But that's the container he built. Okay. So he built this whole story around the 20 years. And it was still a story, and he still brought it to the Three Arena. Okay. So isn't that fascinating? So, what story are you writing for you? What story are you telling your people? Because Dua Lipa and David Gray, close to or sold out that huge venue through storytelling, through marketing, through their music, through attracting a certain audience. And yet, they did not say, only 18-year-olds can come to my show. Only 15-year-olds can come to my show. Only parents and their kids can come to my show. No, they didn't. They don't um they don't market themselves like that. They are musicians, they are storytellers, they are creative. They have this container that attracts the people who are their major fans and who adore them. Okay. And they never say, well, you have to look a certain way, or you have to be a certain age, or you have to have 2.4 kids, or whatever. They don't. And so we could all learn such a lesson from that, because, and that's what my message is to you when you're marketing your business, is that marketing is not some, really difficult concept. Okay. Look around you. Everything in your home, you made a decision on based on marketing. Okay. Products are available to us because they're marketed. When things are branded, you're more likely to buy them. So, what about you in your business? Okay. If you're a coach, or you're a yoga teacher, or you're a fitness pro, or you've got a small business, you have to create a brand. You have to create a container, because that's what we do in order to help our ideal clients to feel comfortable, to feel like they're seeing a show, to feel like you get them. I mean, like the joy that Dua Lipa and the joy that David Gray shared with their audience last night, the appreciation that they had for them. So both Dua Lipa a month ago and David Gray last night and tonight and tomorrow night and the night after, you know, That's why they're selling so many tickets, okay? Because of that joy, because of their appreciation for their fans, because they think about their fans and they um, give them what they want. And at the same time, they're incredibly talented songwriters who write for themselves, okay? So, what about you? What about your business? What thought are you putting into this? Because look, there's no point in, you know, having loads of certifications and lots of training behind you if you don't have a story and you're not telling your story to people, okay? You're not creating the container. You need to create a container. Sometimes imagine it like a stage, particularly if you want to grow your business. Okay. I said to my husband, I'm sure he's absolutely sick of me saying shit like this, to be honest with you. But I turned to my husband at one stage last night and I went, God, imagine going back over 20 years, because it would be over 20 years because David Gray shared a picture of him at Glastonbury in 2002 with David Bowie. Oh, it was so good. And so it would be more than 20 years. So I said to him, imagine going back to David Gray when he was, got his guitar and wheelings and he was like, white letter. I don't know the rest of the lyrics on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? LinkedIn, Facebook. But imagine he could see his future self standing on the stage with all that lighting, with all that production, with his band behind him, with all those fans who know every single solitary lyric. I mean, God, just even I get emotional just thinking about that, right? So, what about you? Imagine you could see your future self. Like, where would that future self be? Like, would you be in the three arena? Like your version of the three arena. If you were starting in your business now and you're like, oh, but I only have, a list of 10 people, or I only have 20 followers, think about it. Think about the container you're building. Okay. Think about what you're giving your fans. Think about like the joy. Like David Gray, he gave his all on that stage in Whelan's, to that smaller crowd. I'm sure he gave his all when he was busking, when he really started out, right? What about you? We've got to start somewhere. 10 people. If you've got a list of 10 people, imagine 10 people stood outside a bakery. I can actually really imagine that because I probably saw it this morning. Right? But imagine that. That's quite a line. Imagine 10 people bought your highest value item right now. Like, that'll make a difference, wouldn't it? And if they did, like, if you have 10 people who are interested in you, are you talking to them? Like, do you say hi? Do you think about them as humans? Right? Because sometimes when we're on social media, we don't think about these things. Sometimes when we think about marketing, it's like ads and like branding and, it's got like ings on it, doesn't it? Like, uh, and it's actually stories and it's actually human connection. And there are humans attached to those email addresses and mainly, except for the bots, obviously, mainly attached to our social media profiles. And you're talking to them, okay? Or are you? And I want you to think about that. Because what Dua Lipa and David Gray have in common is that they really thought about their songs. They put their heart and their soul and their experience into their material. So do you, you know? Do you represent yourself in a really authentic way, in a way that people will go, oh, she's for me, or oh, he's for me. Okay. Do you give yourself going, like, not to the point of exhaustion, and not to that, like the girl beside Shay last night was like her bum in his face, live streaming herself at the gig. No, you don't have to be like on all the time. You have to be strategic in what you do. Sure. But you do have to show up. Like, if you want to grow your business, you have to think about, what is your three arena? Okay. How does it look? You need to put thought into, what does that look like? Is it 30,000 people? Is it 5,000 people? Is it 100 people? How much do your tickets cost? Do you know? How often do you have to gig a year? What kind of an audience do you need? Who are you sharing with to get there? You've got to try to see your future self, and you've got to stop making decisions in your present life that are unrelated to your future self. Okay. So I want you to start acting like your future self. I want you to start visualizing your future self, and I want you to start building a container. I want you to start thinking about yourself in relation to your ideal clients. And I want you to free yourself from thinking of them as just, you know, demographics. Because, at Lipa, there were people in bucket hats and flare jeans, and there were people like in, neon shorts and mesh tank tops, and at David Gray, there were like people in their teens, and there were people in their 50s, and 60s, and probably 70s, and music, it doesn't have an age, and business, it doesn't have an age. So if you are a coach or a fitness pro or a yoga teacher or any small business, start thinking about your container. Start thinking about how people want to feel when they're sitting in that container, how they're experiencing that container, what feeling of transformation you and the products and services that you provide give your people. Okay. If you need help with this, because I know, like, that seems like really bloody obvious when I talk about it, doesn't it? Because you can imagine, like, music, and you know who David Gray is, and you know who Dua Lipa is, and you know they're really different. But isn't it funny that Elaine, who's 47, was at both gigs, right? Because it doesn't matter, like, so you have people out there who need your transformation. You get it. But maybe you're like, well, I'd be absolutely damned if I can come up with how to say it, Elaine. That's fine. I've worked in marketing for over 20 years. I've got this for you. I'm doing a 2-day interactive workshop next week on the 25th and the 26th of May. That's at 1 o'clock GMT. Well, let's call it UK and Ireland time, shall we? And I'm going to show you how to package up your services into an offer. And in day 2, I'm going to show you how to attract your ideal client. Okay, I'm going to show you what to do. Obviously, I'm not going to show you how to do everything because I won't have time in 2 hours. But I'm going to show you what to do, and you're going to walk away with that information. Also with bonuses and just some supports that you can follow when we're not on the call. So I'm going to put the link to this. If you're watching on Instagram, it's boop, boop, up in my bio. And if you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, then it's down below, probably in the first comment. Okay, go and think about it. Go and think about your container. Go and think about it like it was a room. Just remember, Dua Lipa's container, completely different to David Gray's container. A dentist's office, completely different to a hairdresser's. Think about your container. Does your ideal client feel comfortable? And can you make them feel more comfortable? Because you could probably charge more if you can. Okay. Ciao for now. And hope to see you next week. Bye.